Here I am again, Derek Stevens from Sinclair Tractor in Sigourney. Now I'm going to go over a combine. The combine I have here is a late model S680. The S680 is not going to be the same as the 670 and 660 in some aspects, but I'll point that out when I get to it too. So, since I'm right here, we'll start right here. I'm going to tell you some of the things. Just main wear items, belt, stuff like that. Customers are going to have different names for them. I'm going to try and tell you anything I've heard just to try and make it easier. All right, we're going to start out right here. Feeder house drive belt, lower feeder house belt, feeder house drive belt. They're going to call it one or the other. This one here happens to be a 5-speed reverser, so it's actually a 3-rib belt. Most of them, 680, 690s have that. Most of them have a variable speed belt. You're going to have to know if it's a high torque reverser or if it's a heavy duty reverser. Hopefully the customer knows that, but if they don't, the one way you can tell is, come over here, Brian. The high torque reverser actually has this same style of nut on the outside of it. You can ask them if it has that big nut that looks like it's about 3 inches. Hopefully they'll notice that, or hopefully they'll know if they have a high torque reverser. That'd make it easier. While I'm here, if the multi-coupler's leaking, same as it was back on the bean head, there's 2 different sizes. There's 2 small ones, which is the bottom middle and the top rear. And there's 3 that are the bigger coupler, the 2 front ones and the bottom rear. So there's 3 and 2. The corn heads they usually have they always have the 2 small ones. Bean heads have the 2 small ones plus the bigger ones. And then back here, we have the upper feeder house belt. Sometimes people are going to call that a reel pump belt because this right here is the reel pump. Some people will call that the electric clutch belt because on a machine that doesn't have the 5-speed reverser, that pulley up there is actually a black electric clutch. So they may say the belt that runs up behind the cab that runs around the black clutch. So, but if you want to find it in your parts book, upper feeder house drive belt. We have the unload auger drive chain. On an S680 and 690, it's this big chain. There's only one option for it. The 670, I believe there's only one option for it, which is the high unload rate. 660 and 550 both have the regular unload rate. The 660 has the option of the high unload rate. Most of them have it. And same with the 70 series, same way. This is a newer machine that has DEF. So this is your after treatment stuff, and there's actually an after treatment blower drive belt, which is right here. If it's not a later serial number that has DEF, it will not have this. The belt up above there, you can see that there's a 2-strand belt up there. That's your unload auger drive belts. So you have unload auger drive chain and unload auger drive belts. This belt here, this 3-rib belt, is called the front chopper belt, or front chopper jack shaft belt, they might call it. And back here, you have your rear chopper belts. There's actually 2 belts there. They're both the same belt. One is for running the high side, one's for running the low side. If someone breaks one, they can run it on the other while they're waiting to get apart. And on your unload auger drive chain, you'll see right here, there's 3 extra bolts hanging there. Those are the unload auger shear bolt. People break that a lot. The unload auger shear bolt goes right through here. You may have people ask, well, does it take 2 because there's 2 holes in there? No, it only takes 1. That's just 2 so you can roll it around and get whichever one lines up easier. But there will be some random bolts just hanging there with lock nuts on them. Those are the shear bolts if people call in and ask where they are. And right here we have the discharge beater belt. That's about the only thing people call it, so it should be easy to remember. You may have customers call in and saying they think they have the wrong belt because it's too short. No, it's just hard to put on. It fits really tight. Another wear item right here is your stationary chopper knives. They're sharp on one side. It's what customers move in and out for beans and corn. Those knives you can pull this whole knife bank out and flip the knives. Both sides are sharp. Use one for a while, flip it over, use the other one. And back here, someone calls in for flail chopper knives. The knives that are on the rotor, the knives that spin, anything like that. Right here they are. They come in a pack of 4. John Deere suggests replacing all 4 of them in one area. There's actually, it's a round rotor with 4 rows of knives on it. I suggest replacing 2 sets on opposite sides. So we would replace these, we would skip a row and go back around and replace a set on the other side, and then they have 2 more in case they ever break another one. Okay, right up here, you can see it there, it's the vacuum debris blower belt. That runs off of the engine and turns this fan right here to blow air through here to try and keep the debris blown off your tailboard. Now, it doesn't do the best job. People will complain that it'll blow a spot back here and all this back fills up full of chaff and debris. We actually sell a tube, an add-on tube, that changes the way the air flows and blows it back this direction. It does a lot better job. It keeps it pretty clean. I think that thing runs $175 somewhere in that area. And the customer can put it on themselves. 3 bolts, easy done. Up there we have the rotary air screen, the big round thing. Around that is the rotary air screen drive belt. That's the outside one. And inside here, if you look up here, you can see that shaft. You can just see the pulley right up there. That would be the rotary air screen drive belt engine side. It drives off the crankshaft, and it turns that pulley to turn that belt. Back here you have the tailings drive re-thrasher belt. This belt right here and here is the clean grain elevator drive belt. And of course you've got the clean grain paddle chain, the tailings paddle chain inside here. If a customer wants to replace their own clean grain elevator belt and they don't know how it goes back on, right there is a picture of how it goes around the pulleys. This belt right here goes up here around this pulley. It's called the right hand rear countershaft belt. This one up here goes around this top point, around this bottom pulley. It's called the right hand front countershaft belt. You'll see this pulley here kind of looks like a pizza pan, a big round circle. A lot of people call it the pizza pan belt. This one's a newer style, and this one is a one-piece belt that has 2 ribs on it. Older machines will have a 2-piece, there's actually 2 strands of belt. Sometime one of them gets stretched and keeps falling off. You have to replace the set. They're a matched set, and you can't buy just one belt. Right here you have the shoe auger drive belt. Some people call it the chaffer drive belt. It runs around a whole bunch of pulleys. If the customer wants to replace it again, right here is a diagram of how it goes around all the pulleys. This here is your cleaning fan belt. It's a variable speed belt, variable speed clean fan, whatever the heck they want to call it. It just runs your cleaning fan. This here is your feed accelerator belt. You'll see here this belt is a ribbed belt now. People on the older machines, that is not a ribbed belt, that is changed. People will think you have the wrong belt if they see it. It's now an updated belt to that. It's supposed to keep the belt cooler. And here you have the feeder house drive chain. Pretty common. People just need to keep them tight. Any customer asks about grease zerks, right here, this is the right hand side of the machine. This here is a diagram of where all the grease zerks are on the right hand side. And you'll see these numbers here. That is the hour interval that they're supposed to be greased in, by John Deere's recommendations. Here we are on the left hand side. Here's another diagram of all the grease zerks. And once again you can see where it tells the hour intervals. There is one grease zerk that this does not show. on all machines except for 5-speed feeder houses. There's one right behind this pulley here. It's behind the electric clutch. If there was an electric clutch on here, you would look right back here and there's a grease zerk there, and I think it's a 50-hour grease zerk.